Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. That's a quotation from Eleanor Roosevelt, with which we will start the program, Germs. And the big question, are we great minds? Are we average minds? Or are we big minds? Because we're discussing people on this program. And today we will be discussing Dr. Mrs. Viola Ruth Adimula. And we'll talk about the question much later. She's a lawyer, she's a principal partner of Viola Adimula and Co. She was called to bar in 1993, right after which she obtained a master's degree in the same field. Then she went later on to obtain a PhD in Peace and Development Studies. She's been a chairperson of the International Federation of Women Lawyers, Para State Chapter, as well as the chairperson of the Society of Women in Taxation, Para State Chapter as well. She's been a council member of the Nigerian Bar Association National Assembly Matters Committee. She's a chairperson of Women and Child Work Initiative. It is a non-governmental organization that is poised to give the best to children and women in the hinterland in our society. Dr. Mrs. Ruth Biola Adebola has attended several conferences, seminars in and outside the country, prominent of which is the 54th United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, which took place in 2010 there in New York, United States. Dr. Mrs. Viola Adimola is a positively restless woman, an Amazon, and a woman of virtue. Did I get it wrong somewhere? All of
Not
those
at all.
story about you.
Not at all.
It's a rare pleasure being with you this day, and I think it's going to be written in bold on my diary the day I spoke with you on this platform.
Thank you so much.
I'm wondering if it is not law, if it is not lecturing, what would you have done?
Thank you. I know I have a lot of passion to serve humanity. Maybe I will have been working solely on NGO issues, working for women, working for children, and impacting lives.
Women and children alone, there's this thing about it's a man's world, and the moment you're talking about women and children as an NGO, possibly people will begin to say it's only women and children that are around. So if you're going to serve women, if you're going to serve and take care of women and children, would you for once consider the other gender?
Yes, perfectly. I will, but I believe that in a family where the wife and the children are already taken care of, the man is already enjoying it. So it is in the interest of the men that women and children are also taken care of and
Okay,
their rights are protected.
okay.
Yes.
Your NGO takes care of women in the rural areas. How challenged are women in the rural area? It looks like a question like, why is she asking this question? But the best I can tell of women in the rural areas is what we see in the news every day. How challenged are these women in the rural areas? I think I'm going to interrupt and say, yes, I have an experience where I was in those areas and I did see a woman trying to give birth herself. She was in labor solely herself and did it all by herself. So that's the little bit I can say about women in the rural areas. How challenged are they?
Yeah, thank you very much. In the rural areas, I believe that women have a lot of challenges. You talk of poverty, many of them are not educated. You don't have clean water, they have to go to the streams to fetch water most times. There's a lot of domestic violence. Many of them are dependent on their husbands. They cannot cater for themselves and they lack economic empowerment. And also, we have this unfavorable cultural norms that is always not in support of women. You talk of women cannot be in some meetings that pertains to the discussion of their own interest. And with all this catalogue of challenges, we discover that many women in rural communities are not able to attain their potentials, even though they have it, but they don't have the avenue. There is no platform for them to attain because of all the poverty, lack of education, no clean water, domestic violence that they face, and all these cultural norms.
Okay. There's this recurring thing: domestic violence, a man beat up his wife, a man beat up his wife, and we know there are laws. Can this be brought to the barest minimum? This recurring domestic violence that is not favoring women.
Yes, it can. Um, with the statistics that we have, it has been found that in Nigeria specifically, we have 65% of women that is facing or that has faced domestic violence, and they cut across all the strata of women. It does not matter whether you are educated, not educated, whether you are local or you are an elite, whether you are a big woman or a small woman, everybody, one way or the other, because you can face it in several ways. It can be in form of physical violence, it can be psychological, emotional, financial, economical, and so it's something that cuts across. And there are ways where we can minimize this. We can talk of education for those that are not, but you still discover that some educated women are also being violated. And so there is a need for sensitization. You carry men along to know the importance of women in their life and the mutual relationship, what it can attain for them. All these are very important, and apart from the sensitization, there is a need for reporting. We have discovered that some people are facing domestic violence, they will not want to report, maybe because of stigmatization. Some people will not want the community to tag them that they are reporting their husbands because of violence, or because they want to protect their families. Some it is because of ego and of the elites in the society. For example, we have a report of a colleague who is a judge in another state, not in Kwara State, that the husband beats from time to time. And each time she's going to court to sit, she wears glasses because her face is swollen. So how do you come about that? A judge of a high court, and so it's cut across. So it's because of this that some people are not reporting. But when it is reported too, we also discover that 90% of cases that are reported to lawyers or to FIDA, that is Women Lawyers Association, are being withdrawn even before the completion of such cases. Why? Because they begin to say, because of family matters, some people have started begging, I don't want stigmatization, and all sorts and all sorts. So these are some of the issues. So until we encourage ourselves to speak out, and for the government to establish supporting or reporting centers like we have in Lagos, where people can report to. Another thing is to have legal redress so that the court can handle it. In some of the states, including Kwara State, we have family courts where such cases can be handled. The family court handles domestic violence cases that relate to family, women and children. And more importantly is the need for the political will to implement existing laws. We have existing laws, but they are not being implemented. We have the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We have Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law of 2015. All these laws are protecting women, but they are not being implemented. So these are some of the areas that I think we can reduce the impact of domestic violence on women in Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much for that answer to that question. I would have asked that is the law really doing what it should in favor of the women, but it seems we've answered that. Your NGO, Women and Child Watch Initiative, is a big one. Like, how many women have we supported? How many children have we supported so far?
Yes, thank you. Women and Child Watch Initiative was established in 2003, and we have done a lot of programs supporting women. I may not be able to say specifically this is the number of women we have supported, but for those that quickly come to my mind, I can say categorically that between 2010 and 2015, Women and Child Watch Initiative nominated and supported 17 Nigerians to be Commonwealth Fellows, sponsored by the British Council. And I nominated them. Out of these 17, 14 of us, including me, were women.
Okay.
And the Commonwealth Fellowship is to enhance professionalism and our career in media, in legal practice, in medical practice, and some of these areas. Apart from that, as I talk to you, we have 20 rural women farmers in Sharagi that are enjoying the project.
20, not
20,
10.
20 women farmers
Okay.
in rural community of Sharagi in Kwara
Okay.
State that they are presently enjoying the project of working on the establishment of women center and installation of harvesting machine, modern machines for them to harvest their farm produce. And this was done in 2011. The 20 women were all farmers. They were supposed to take care of that and use it to benefit themselves, and also for them to serve the entire communities, where other farmers that are growing rice, other grains, melon can come and grind and shed
Yes.
the rice and other grains. And they have been doing that for years. In 2015, they were able to raise more money to buy more machines. And as I talk to you, many of them now can stand on their own because they now have money to give loans to each other. They now have petty tradings that they are doing. The essence of establishing that project in 2011 was as a result of our research to know that we have a lot of domestic violence in that area, whereby men beat their wife regularly because they are too dependent. By the time they are now economically um, up to the task that they can take care of themselves, take care of the family, pay school fees of their children, the domestic violence against them dropped drastically. So as I talk to you, they are still enjoying this project, and it's impacting their lives to enjoy their family better.
Well, that's
Yes. And the Women and Child Watch Initiative is also responsible for the establishment of family courts in Kwara State. Not only that, we recommended two magistrates of the Kwara State Judiciary for the Commonwealth Fellowship to go and train on the child justice and family court administration. On their return, they began to sit in 2013.
okay.
Between that 2013 and now, about 500 cases have been handled in that court, solely family matters, children matter, women matters. And so hundreds of women have benefited through that project. I also know that in 2016 we were in Inokiero and Ifelodun local government, and we were able to donate tools of trade to some young women that were already trained in vocational studies like tailoring, hairdressing, and all those. And we were able to buy tools of trade for them, machines, and so that they can begin to work on their own and gain economic independence, and several others through our school programs, through many other programs that
It's a
the
long
time may
list.
not allow
Permit
me
you
to
to.
begin to list.
It's a long list.
I
It's a
think
long
so.
list, and I think an idea
It's a long
popped.
time too.
An idea popped now. I'm going to
Yes.
drop this job and I'll become a farmer so that I can benefit from your NGO. I'll do that right after this interview. I'm going to drop this career and become a farmer. I think it sounds much more easier. I could get benefits from your
This
NGO.
profession fits you better.
Okay, okay, I'll stay with since you said that. What hope do you see for African women? Yes, there are NGOs, there are provisions for women. Presently, we have not propaganda now. We have campaigns against rape and all of that. What hope do you see for the African woman, say, in the next 1 decade?
Yes, as it is now, I see that we now have a lot of sensitization on engagement of women in political offices, in political positions, in leadership positions across board. And apart from that, I can also say that there has been an improvement in the rate and the statistics of women that are being educated than before. We also have some level of exposure where men are allowing women on merit to attain certain positions. So I believe that in the next decade, if the statistics go on gradually as it is now, we will have more women being enlightened, more women in political um, positions to make decisions for their community, and also we have better understanding of how women can benefit more, and they can benefit and impact their own societies too. So I think there's an improvement, and if it continues,
There
it
is
will be
greater
better.
hope for
Yes.
the African woman. We'll have
Yes.
more of Malala Yousafzai and the rest of them coming
Yes.
from Africa very soon.
Yes.